The night Daniel Harper almost dropped his keys in the school parking lot was the same night his carefully stitched life threatened to unravel and remake itself. He had learned to survive on routines, on quiet mornings and long nights, on coffee gone cold and memories he never allowed himself to revisit. But when he stepped into the brightly lit hallway of Maplewood Elementary for parent-teacher night, carrying the weight of single fatherhood on his shoulders, he had no idea that the past he buried 8 years ago was about to stand right in front of him, breathing, smiling, and powerful enough to change everything. Before the story unfolds any further, let me ask you something from the heart. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when people least expect them, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect us across the world. Daniel had not planned on staying long that evening. His daughter Lily's backpack was clutched tightly in his hand, her drawings peeking out like fragile pieces of joy, and he rehearsed polite smiles in his head. Life had taught him to keep things brief, contained, and safe. Since the accident that took his wife, the world had narrowed to school runs, bedtime stories, and the dull ache of doing everything alone. Love, ambition, and dreams had been replaced by responsibility and survival. He wore exhaustion like a second skin, invisible to most but heavy all the same. The hallway buzzed with parents, teachers, and the echo of laughter bouncing off lockers decorated with student art. Daniel felt out of place, his worn jacket and careful posture marking him as someone who lived quietly. Then, at the end of the corridor near Lily's classroom, he saw her. Emma Collins stood surrounded by teachers and parents, her presence commanding without effort. She looked familiar in a way that made his chest tighten before his mind could catch up. Her posture was confident, her smile practiced yet warm, and there was an unmistakable aura of authority around her. She was no longer the girl who used to laugh barefoot by the lake with him, dreaming of futures they thought would be shared. Recognition hit him slowly and then all at once, like a wave breaking after the warning pull. Emma Collins was his first love, the woman who once believed in him when he had nothing but hope and stubborn faith. Now she was the CEO everyone talked about, the woman on magazine covers and business panels, the one who built an empire from grit and vision. Time had transformed her, polished her, but her eyes still carried the same depth that once made him feel seen. Daniel tried to shrink back into the crowd, but life rarely respects the comfort of avoidance. Fate had already decided that their paths would cross again. As he stood there, memories flooded him with ruthless clarity. Late nights studying together, whispered promises, the painful goodbye when their dreams pulled them in opposite directions. He had stayed, choosing stability and family, while she had gone, chasing a future that demanded everything. They had parted not in anger, but in heartbreak, the kind that lingers silently for years. Emma noticed him then. The moment stretched thin, fragile as glass. Her composed expression faltered, just for a heartbeat, replaced by something raw and unguarded. It was in that instant that Daniel realized time had not erased what they were, it had only buried it deeper. The air between them felt heavy with words never spoken, apologies never given, and love never fully extinguished. Parent-teacher night forced them into the same space, orbiting each other. Through conversations about grades, creativity, and potential, Daniel watched Emma interact with Lily's teacher, her intelligence sharp and her kindness evident. There was something disarming about seeing the powerful CEO soften in a classroom filled with crayon drawings and small chairs. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stir inside him that wasn't grief or duty. It was hope, tentative and terrifying. As the evening unfolded, Daniel's internal struggle deepened. He questioned his worth, his place in a world that had clearly moved forward without him. What did a tired single father have to offer a woman who commanded boardrooms and inspired thousands? His life felt small in comparison, reduced to packed lunches and overdue bills. Yet when Emma glanced his way, there was no judgment in her eyes, only recognition and something dangerously close to longing. Emma, too, was fighting her own quiet battle. Success had given her everything she thought she wanted, except the warmth she once felt with Daniel. Standing there, surrounded by achievement, she realized how empty some victories could feel without someone to share them with. Seeing Daniel with Lily, gentle and attentive, awakened a longing she had buried under years of ambition. She saw not what he lacked, but what he had become, a man shaped by loss, strengthened by love, and grounded in something real. The weeks after that night unfolded like a slow, cautious dance. Chance meetings became intentional, conversations deepened, and old wounds were acknowledged without bitterness. Daniel allowed himself to be vulnerable again, something he had sworn never to do. He spoke of Lily, of the nights he sat by her bed afraid of failing her, of the loneliness that crept in when the house fell silent. Emma listened not as a CEO, but as the woman who once loved him deeply and never truly stopped. Their reconnection was not effortless. There were moments of doubt, fear, and painful honesty. Emma had to confront the reality that power and prestige could not shield her from emotional risk. Daniel had to believe that he was enough, not despite his scars, but because of them. Slowly, they learned that love the second time around is quieter, deeper, and braver. It does not rush or demand perfection. It waits, understands, and chooses again. As seasons changed, so did their lives. Emma learned to slow down, to find joy in school events and family dinners. Daniel rediscovered parts of himself he thought were gone forever. Lily became the bridge between their worlds, her laughter filling spaces once hollow. Together, they proved that love does not diminish when paths diverge, it evolves, waiting patiently for the right moment to return. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it reminds you of lost chances or hopeful beginnings, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in love that endures, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Please comment and tell us what this story made you feel and whether you believe first love ever truly fades. In the end, Daniel stood in his kitchen watching Emma help Lily with her homework, the soft glow of evening wrapping them in warmth. Life had not given him the future he once imagined, but it had given him something far richer. Love had found him again, not in spite of his brokenness, but because of it. And as he finally allowed himself to breathe without fear, Daniel understood that sometimes, the most powerful stories begin when we think everything is already over.